right, so yeah, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It's our 38th fellowship together for Shabbat. Praise Yahuah. And so glad to see everybody here. Yeah, like I said, this evening we have our final presentation on Jackson Snyder's platform. So we got some pretty amazing stuff that we're going to go over, which we are going to present in the presentation. So should be a real good one this evening or today. Sorry. Could be evening for some. But yeah. Did you want to start with going over what you have there, Katrina?
I can't. We just sat down for lunch.
Huh? Okay, no worries. So yeah, I can get started with what I found about the 0 day and things like that. So yeah, no, Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and welcome. So I should probably start off with a quick prayer, and then while we do a prayer, or unless somebody else wants to pray as well, but perhaps we'll get more who can join in that time, and it will give Katrina some time to finish her lunch. But yeah, I will start off with a prayer. Father, Abba Yahuwah, we come to you in prayer to ask for your guidance and your blessing as we read and we study through your words. And please help to continue to guide us and be here to protect us from any incursions from the enemy. We thank you for this fellowship, Father, and allowing us all to come together to work as a had to just, reason together through the scriptures as we should be doing. And I wanted to say a prayer also for those who are sick or struggling through trials and tribulations. No matter what it is, we all need your help, Father, and we need that strength to endure to the end. And I pray to you in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Let it be so. So yeah, Shabbat Shalom and welcome. So yeah, today we're going to go over a little bit of our Jackson Snyder presentation and just go over some of the things that we found recently as well, and just more proofs and validations from the Father. And I know Marissa has found some of the leaders of the thousands of the stars, the ones we read about in Enoch. And these stars are validating this method of the calendar as well. So it's just really more confirmation, and all praise to the Most High Yahuwah. It's really amazing, honestly. So yeah, give me just a moment, and I'll get everything on screen here. So let's start with the divider day here. And so this is basically what we're going to be, or what my part of the presentation for Jackson Snyder this evening. And let me get it up here. And then, so for those just joining, Shabbat Shalom, Dwayne and Esme. I pray I'm pronouncing that correctly. But I pinned the link to Jackson Snyder's Zoom fellowship, and we're going to be presenting this evening. And this is going to be part of what we're presenting here. So let me get it zoomed in. Shabbat Shalom, Mama Lotus. Glad you can be here. So, oops, come back. Sorry, this tab can get kind of touchy here. So anyways, so what we have on screen here, it's going to be from the Dead Sea Scrolls translated, the Qumran Text in English, by Florentino Garcia Martinez. And let me really quick share the link. So this is the same link we have in our library tab. It's the same link for our Dead Sea Scrolls reading here that we've been doing in our fellowship. And if you are watching from YouTube, so it's going to be linked in the description as well. So anyways, what we're going to see here, let me get back to full screen. Of course, it's zoomed out. Okay, come on. Apologies. Okay, so this is going to be page 77. It's 4Q MMT, or specifically 4Q394 in the Dead Sea Scrolls and the halakhic letters. So we're going to see here, so a Sabbath in it. After that Sabbath, so really quickly before continuing, there's this little bracket here and this little bracket right here. This is going to indicate that everything in between these two brackets is an author's insertion of what they think should be in there. So we read, the first and the second and the third day is added. Well, this is not actually in there. So what we see is it's speaking about this 28th, or the 20th day of this 12th month is a Sabbath. And then after that Sabbath is added. How do we know it's about the 12th month? Because it says, and the year is complete in the 364 days. So remember, this bracket and this bracket here are indicating all of this text I have highlighted is an author's insertion of what they think should go in there. So anybody who knows anything about the Dead Sea Scrolls really should understand this. It's similar to our Bible or scriptures. Like, for example, about Peter's dream. They'll have there in parentheses, like this is showing all food's been made clean. Well, that's an author's insertion that they put in there thinking what they think that the text is translating. But we all know Peter's dream is not about all food being made clean. It was about people. Like no man is clean. Or unclean, sorry. So the same in here. So this is going to be a source link from Wikipedia, the Wikipedia site itself. That's how I found it. Let me share it in the chat here for everybody. But this is also going to be a link that's on my write-up or article as a source as well. So we found this as a source link on Wikipedia for this Dead Sea Scroll 4Q MMT. And you'll see here it's adapted from Florentino Garcia Martinez, what we just read. And we see it's here without that. It's still got the brackets, but we know this word is Sabbath. So they're just completing this word because it's Shabbat. So a Sabbath in it, after that Sabbath, blank is added. And the year is complete in 364 days. So what we're seeing here is after this Sabbath is added. What is added? It's the day. The day is added after this last Sabbath, and the year is complete in 364 days. And we're going to go over more evidence to why we know this is speaking about the day is added. Not only is it mentioned in 4Q324D for the other 4 seasonal divider days, but we're going to see Rachel Elior speaking about it as well. So, a lot of people will say, there's no Hebrew word for zero or void. Well, we're going to prove this. We're going to show that that's a fabrication, and anybody saying that has not done the proper research. Sorry to say, but not sorry. So, we're going to have, it's the Strong's H922, and it's bohu. So, it's from the root word, an unused root word, which means to be empty. And its biblical usage, it's emptiness, void, or waste. So this is the very same void that we see right there in Genesis 1:2. So bohu is the term used for the void day, or the 0 day, day out of time, divider day, that occurs at the head of the weekly cycle for the year. But we know it's there because of Genesis 1:2. So this is that void day that we see right before creation week.
Jeremy.
Yeah.
Could you pick a better word than fabrication? When you said, some people claim that there is absolutely no 0 day. Is there a better word for that? I don't think it fits. Anyone can help us out?
Well, they fabricate the lie that there's no 0 or void in Hebrew. That's what I was meaning.
I know, but I don't like it. Can we change it to... Sorry, I just don't. It doesn't fit.
Okay, I'll just say people claim that there's no 0 in Hebrew.
Claim, though.
No, that's what I'm just letting you know what I'm saying. So
there's just a better word that could be used.
People will claim that there's no 0 in Hebrew. We're going to show
Jeremy,
that that's not true.
I know.
I'm rewording.
Okay. Just please. I know. Hold on a second. Let me get my handy dandy thesaurus. Because there's a definite...
Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Yep, Shabbat Shalom, family.
Shabbat Shalom. I pray you guys are doing well.
Shabbat Shalom.
So I was just speaking to reword the whole thing. So people will claim that there's no 0 in Hebrew. This is untrue. This bohu is the very word we use for our void day, our 0 day, day out of time. And so we also see actually tohu, which is before bohu. And so it's tohu and bohu. This is also, it's just another witness to, nothing. As you can see, 3 of the definitions out of all of them, actually without, probably 4. We see without form, not, nothing, empty. So tohu, bohu, they both mean, nothing or empty or void. And we see this placed before creation week, right there in Genesis 1:1-2. And so as a third witness, we're going to see the word Ephes. And this is going to be Strong's number H657. And we're going to see it has quite a few meanings, but some of them we're going to see it means none, not, nothing, without, ceasing, or an end, a finality. But when we look at this specific spelling right here, and we just copy and paste it into a translator, and we see this word ephas translates directly to the number 0 in English.
Check that out. Good job,
Yep.
guys.
Shabbat shalom, sister.
Shabbat shalom.
So yeah, so this shows that they claim that there's no 0 in Hebrew. It's a false statement, because we do see this directly translates to 0. And again, this is just a witness to, there is what we would refer to as 0 in modern terms would be nothing or emptiness in Hebrew. And so here we're going to have, I don't know if this link will work for you actually. I'll try putting it in there, because it's specifically like my login there for the site. But I do have the site in our library chat. So I'll share this specific link. Can't find the join tab. It should be up there. I thought I saw you in there, sister. Huh. Hold on one sec.
If she's doing it from a laptop, it might be a different join button than what we see on our apps.
Yeah, actually, because like here from my computer, it's not like a join button. You just click on the discussion there at the top.
You mean, wait, are you talking about joining from your laptop?
Oh, there
Sorry.
you are.
Yeah,
you're
I
in
came
here.
back.
She made it.
Well, I came back on the phone, but I'm trying to get it on my laptop.
Yeah, so it's not going to have like a join button on the computer.
Okay.
But you'll see at the top, well, at least on my computer here, at the top, you'll see like a green bar. And it just says Yahuah Calendar Fellowship. You just click on that, and it'll join up in there.
I'm doing that. Deleted is typing. I don't know what that means. I don't know. That's okay. I'll stay on my phone. I'll try to figure it out. I'm not. Oh, maybe. All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no worries.
Thanks, James.
Yeah. So, so this is going to be from Rachel Elior, her book, The 3 Temples on the Emergency of Jewish Mysticism. And this is going to be page 103, chapter 4. And the chapter is called Enoch, Son of Jared, and the Solar Calendar. And so page 103 here, we're going to see this quote from Rachel Elior, or what she writes down. And it says, the 364 days of the year are divided into 12 heavenly gates through which the sun enters and leaves, in parallel to the 12 months of the year, or 365 days, where the added day, the day of the Lord, as she calls it, is not counted, and was probably used to make up the discrepancy between the ritual figure of 364 and the actual figure of the Earth's revolution around the sun in 365 and a half or in a quarter days. So while I do not agree with the, sun revolving around, the Earth revolving around the sun, we believe in biblical cosmology, but that's not the point of this. Really, the point was this added day. She speaks of this added day to make up for this discrepancy. And that's that same added day we see right here in 4Q 394 from
Well, and add there too, because we could see from vernal equinox to vernal equinox, counting the days, there is specifically 365.24 days.
Yeah, exactly.
So there is. It's just not revolving around a ball. It's just what we can see and experience, and this is how many days there are in a year, in a solar year.
Absolutely. Yes. And so we're also going to know that because, Jubilee speaks a lot about the weekly cycle. And, right here, Jubilees. So this is chapter 2, just to show you real quick. Jubilees, chapter 2. And this is verse 9. And this is going to be from Yah's scripture. And it's YHWH and the Torah.net if you're listening from YouTube, but there's the link specifically. I shared in chat. But we're going to see Jubilees 2, verse 9. And Elohim appointed the sun to be a great sign on the earth for days and for Sabbaths and for months and for festivals and for years and for Sabbaths of years and for jubilees, and for all seasons of the years. So what we're going to see, so Elohim appointed the sun to be a sign for Sabbaths. So what we also see, what's the definition of Sabbath? So we're going to see it can also be used for a week in biblical usage here. So it's Strong's Concordance H7676, Sabbath. So we can see it's also used to describe a week. So here in Jubilees 2:9, we're seeing the sun is going to, not only set the time for the days, months, festivals, and years, but the weeks as well. So whether it be the Sabbath day or a week here, it's one and the same, really, because the Sabbath is the seventh day of the week. So if the sun's going to determine these things, we have to follow what Scripture says and go by the sun, because what we don't see is a continuous 7-day cycle keeps the years. We don't see adding a week of 7 days to keep in line with a Tekufa that we then move to a Wednesday. We don't see any of that. And this is going to be Jubilees 6. So just to show you, Jubilees chapter 6, starting in verse 30. So we're going to see, and all the days of the command shall be 52 weeks of days, and these shall make the entire year complete. So 52 weeks of 7 days is going to make the entire year complete. And thus it is engraved and ordained on the heavenly tablets of the Shamayim. And there's no neglecting this command, for a single year or from year to year. So what command is there no neglecting? The 52 weeks of 7 days. We're not going to see anywhere here in Jubilees that there's a 53rd week added every so many years. But rather we see the opposite. For every year and from year to year is 52 weeks of 7 days. So how does that fit on the solar cycle of the 365 and a quarter days? And I was just scrolling down to kind of show you. And you can also read for yourself. It never mentions a 53rd week of 7 days, not in Jubilees, not in Enoch. There's no scriptural basis for intercalation, whether it's a week or a month. And so how do we keep this command every year from year to year? It's because we start the counting at 0. And so the definition of 0 itself, and from the American Heritage Dictionary, so we see there's 3 definitions. So the numerical symbol, which is 0. The identity element for addition. So basically, like if you have the number 0.01, that 0 would be a placeholder because you can't have 0.01 without a 0. So it's just a placeholder. And then the third definition is a cardinal number indicating the absence of any or all units under consideration. So it's emptiness, really. Also in Enoch 74, at the end there, the math Enoch is showing us for the sun and the moon. If you do that math and you actually map it out, you're going to fall a day short unless you start the counting at 0, which is, something else our sister Marissa has found, which is all praise to the Most High. Really amazing. So just to recap, we see in the Dead Sea Scrolls 4Q394, everything between these 2 brackets is an author's insertion. So when we take out what the authors have inserted, we're going to get this. And then that's backed up by Rachel Elior mentioning this added day. She calls it the day of the Lord, which is kind of interesting because it kind of goes with that head of days, and the head of days is what we see right there in Genesis 1:1-2. It's before the counting of the days, which we see in Jubilees 1 at the end. I think it's 24 through 27, something like that. But there in Jubilees at the end, we see, we start our count from the beginning of creation. And then we see a specific mention of months and years as well. And then, we have the tohu and bohu, which is meaning void. And we have the literal translation of 0 into Hebrew, which we see is going to be Ephes. It's that same spelling. And, Jubilees 2:9, the sun is going to set our days, weeks, months, festivals, years, Sabbaths of years, Jubilees, and all seasons. We don't see a week of 7 days is what's going to hold the calendar in place. Because a week of 7 days, 52 weeks of 7 days, does not fit into 365 properly unless you start the counting at 0. And we see, the Sabbath can also mean a week, which we do see in the Dead Sea Scrolls as well, which is why in the Greek, in the New Testament, we see, when Mary, she's going to the tomb, and it says after the Sabbath, but before the Sabbath. And it's like, well, that doesn't make sense. Well, it does if you know that Sabbath also means week. Sorry, can't speak today. But yeah, so it was the end of the Sabbath day, after the Sabbath day, but before the Sabbath, meaning week. So it all just starts to come together when you understand it like this. And then, this is the weekly yearly cycle out of the 2 cycles that we see. And the weekly yearly cycle, it's going to hold our 7th-day Sabbath. The most important festival to Yahuah is the weekly Sabbath day, the most frequent, the most important. And so that's going to be held by the weekly cycle. And that weekly cycle, it cannot be broken up in the middle. Like, there are some who want to put the void day in the middle of the week. Well, that is going to break up the 1 through 7 cycle, because we have to have that continuous 1 through 7 each year. And a lot of the reason they put it in the middle of the week is because, they're only seeing that monthly solar cycle. And they're not seeing that weekly cycle, the creation cycle, basically. And it's going to hold the most important thing to Yahuah is Sabbath day. And that monthly solar cycle, it's going to hold the festivals of the year. And they both work simultaneously together as, the 2 witnesses to the calendar, and to make sure that, the high Sabbaths don't fall on a weekly Sabbath day, because they're both very important. So that's what I got for my part of the presentation this evening. Does anybody have questions or anything they would like to add even? And also, are you ready to go over your part, Katrina?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Does anyone have any questions, though?
Well, where do the stars fit in with this?
So that's what our sister Marissa had found with the stars. She's actually found more since she kind of went over it a little bit with us earlier this week. Hold on. Let me just find what I have on it, but I know she's found actually the leaders of the thousands. And I don't know if you found anything more about that, Sister Marissa, or if you want to explain it a little bit, but I'll kind of go over it real quick here. So this is going to be chapter 15 of my write-up. This is actually written by Marissa, our sister Marissa. So it starts out with the priestly cycle, how that only fits on this, because it's a 7-day priestly ordination. On that 8th day, they be ready. And that's only going to work at the beginning of the year. So the priests would be ready by that first Sabbath of the year. So the stars, let me get down here. Okay, so right here is going to be March 20th, which is the spring Tekufa. So what we're going to see right here is Aries is going to be right there in the west. So an hour after sunset, when the stars are then visible, the constellation Aries appears low in the west. And the stars in the western sky give us an indicator for the current solar month we are in. And as an additional detail, at the same time, if you look to the east, you'll see Leo just beginning to rise. This is especially significant because Leo is symbolic of the tribe of Judah. Just as Judah leads the 12 tribes of Israel, Leo leads the night sky, rising first in the east as the sun sets, bearing witness to a new season and a new cycle. So again, in the eastern sky, we're going to see on March 20th, Leo. And also I would like to add, so what Sister Marissa found with the leaders of the thousands is there's a star that follows the exact path of the sun, just like Enoch says. And it basically leads the sun into this. And it's one of those leaders of the thousands, just like Enoch says. And then, so another star sign Sister Marissa found is about the barley star. So during the first month, it's not yet visible above the horizon an hour after sunset. But by the time of Passover, which falls on April 2nd on the Gregorian, the constellation Virgo, which holds the bright star Spica, rises above the eastern horizon about an hour after sunset, and its appearance at this specific time acts as a witness in the heavenly scroll, signaling that the barley is Aviv, or ripe. The celestial sign witnesses to the timing of the spring harvest, aligning with the agricultural cycle on earth with the messages written in the heavens. So as you can see, so right here in her hand is Spica, and this line here is the horizon. So on April 2nd, we see Spica has risen above the horizon. And April 2nd is the beginning of Passover. And continuing on, so we see that Taurus will appear in the west an hour after sunset, letting us know that the sun has moved into that part of the sky. This Mazarah cycle goes on each month through each of the 12 constellations for all 12 months. So this will be month 1 up here. This will signal the start of month 2, where we see now Taurus instead of Aries is up here in the western sky. And then it'll continue on like that each month with a different constellation that we'll be able to see. And then when the moon, when it's full, it's going to be opposite the sun in the sky. So that constellation behind the full moon is always opposite from the one the sun is currently in. So if the sun is in Aries, the full moon will appear in Libra. And this gives us yet another visual clue to help confirm the current solar month based on the stars. And the moon as a witness. The full moon occurs once a month, so we can see this witness between days 1 and 30 of each solar month. So here we have, what is it? It's right here. So we have the sun in Aries and the moon in Libra down here. So this will be the sign for Aries. The sun is in it, and then the moon in Libra. So as we can see, it's just going to witness to the sun, you know, what month and season we are in. And I don't know if you want to add anything more to that, Sister Marissa, like more recently the leaders of the thousands, because I think that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, there was just the one that I found, but I'd like to wait until I have all 4 of them.
Yeah, no
Okay.
problem.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Jeremy and Marissa.
Yeah, no problem. All praise to the Most High. So yeah, I wasn't trying to burst your thunder there, Marissa. I'm just pretty excited that, you know, you found at least one of the leaders of the thousands so
Yeah,
far.
no, it's okay.
So yeah, and Katrina, if you want, and if nobody has any other questions, if you want to do your renewed presentation. Are you there, Katrina?
Well, I was home and ready, but I had to run back and get my kids drinks. So give me a second.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. And Shabbat Shalom, Sarah. And yeah, Miranda, if you wanted to talk about the abominable days, maybe a little bit, what you found with that,
Yeah,
if you're able
Miranda,
to.
want to do that? Because every time I'm ready, I can't get in. I'm not ready.
Yeah, sure.
Didn't mean to catch you off guard.
Huh?
Didn't mean to catch you off guard there.
No worries. Um, yeah. Let me find my Jubilee book. I can do a little summary though, for those that are new, or just a re-summary. Reading in Jubilees, and I cannot find my book right now. It says though that if we do not reckon the days, only 364, and do not observe it the way that Yah tells us to, that we will make an unclean day a clean day, and a clean day an unclean day. I think I said that right. And profane and mix the holy with the unholy. And I'm sorry, trying to and it looks like this is in chapter 9, verse starting with verses, I would say 35, and then read it all the way down through there. And it says that we will, mix the profane with the holy. And so, the beginning of this group, I didn't know that there could be unclean days, which of course there are. That makes sense, and why he set apart Sabbath the way he did and everything. And so, I had remembered that on the 17th day of the second month, it is recorded that that is when Hasatan deceived Eve. And on this calendar that is written out, with adding everything up the way that Yah says to, Yah's Sabbath day will not fall on the second month or the 17th day of that month, ever. So we know that we cannot determine our days, weeks, months, or years by the Gregorian, because you will mix the holy with the unholy. And the second month of the 17th day of that month is also the day when the abysses and the windows of heaven were opened and the flood came upon the earth too. So it's also considered like a judgment day also. And I'm sorry I wasn't more prepared, but that's kind of a gist of what an example of what at least one abominable day is.
Yeah. And I do know there are some groups who see the divider day and they call that day an abominable day, which I can kind of see because it was, chaos and void and things. So honestly, in that aspect, we couldn't have an abominable day in the middle of the week because the Dead Sea Scrolls say that, that Tekufa lighting up the Holy of Holies, that's a good day for the Holy of Holies. So a good day cannot fall on a unclean, abominable day. So just another, kind of fact to back up, but the divider day, it goes before day one, week of creation, because that's what we see in the beginning. But yeah, I just thought of that because a lot of people, they say this void day is an abominable day. I shouldn't say a lot of people. There's like one or two groups that call it an abominable day.
Yeah, I'll
I
have
don't know.
to look more into that. I've never heard that, but
Yeah. Which group is it, Katrina, that calls it that? Do you remember?
I'm
If
sorry,
you're
what?
able to. So that group that calls the divider day an abominable day?
Oh, Nick Vanderland.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. That's wrong. This is like the days of Yah's esteem. Mm-mm.
Exactly.
Calling good evil and evil good, Ugh.
And that's just another proof, like the divider day can't be in the middle of the week. It has to go before day one, week of creation. But yeah, are you ready to go, Katrina? Or you still
Yeah.
need some more time? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what the kids are going to be doing, but they might come out on me.
No worries.
I need a bathroom like Marissa. They'll hide in. Well, the problem is though, if I show my visual, it's going to be blurry though. So just keep letting me know. And I'll try not to move too much, but there's a lot of information on it.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now and I want to throw up because there's so much like verses written all over it. I'm like, maybe I should just create a new one so that, but without these verses, because it looks like it's just too much.
Yeah, you can just like mention the verses and
Yeah, I might have to redo this for the 8 millionth time. But yeah, why can't my camera work?
We see it.
Could you see anything?
Yeah, I see it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, there's just like a lot of stuff written there. But
it was good. Now it went super blurry.
yeah, see, I can't do it on here.
Yeah, I don't understand why it does that. Honestly.
I don't either.
Are you on your tablet, Katrina?
No, I'm on my phone. But I mean, I think the points that I kind of want to make, it's good. I love that Jackson really is bringing us, the Zadok people together, doing expos like this. But the part that I'm really troubled by is that, nobody really wants to get together and discuss, and have like an actual debate. I think that should be the next step in really uncovering Yah's calendar. Because I personally went and watched every video. I watched all the people's teachings on their YouTubes. I posted comments. I posted questions. I posted where, they're forgetting this part, or they're moving this Wednesday, or they're adding a week, and none of this is found in scripture. And so, at this point, it's like, now we really need to come together and be like, well, what is it then? Like, why are you doing this? And how are we going to make it right? Because Zadok was a community that was built on Yah's truth. They were united in truth. And we right now are divided in lies. Or not divided in lies, but we're just divided in all these different misunderstandings when it comes to the Babylon, sticking to a Babylon week rather than realizing that Yah uses a different method of holding creation week. But also, realizing that, there's such things as authors' insertations that people are building calendars off of. And that's incorrect. And we have to really hash these things out. And, it's just absolutely insane. And I can't wrap my head around the fact that they're making up these cycles of 294 years. So what, you can't really tell on the calendar we don't live that long. we don't live that long. A lifespan is not even 294 years. How are we supposed to really gauge to see if this calendar is really going to work out? So all these different proponents, we really have to come together and be like, what is going on? Why are we not coming together on this? Why are we so divided? Why can't we communicate? When someone asks a question, we should be available to answer it, not wait a year, constantly asking the same questions. But anyway, I digress. When it comes to Yah's calendar, it can't be so complicated that in the ways that people are making it out to be. It has to be so simple a child could understand it. And I do believe that the cycles in which we found that merge together, that create a beautiful calendar, really, truly works. And it's backed up by all of the scrolls, jubilees, Enoch. Wait, Claudia. Shh. You can come out. Just try to be quiet, okay, honey? It's backed up by the canon. So we have 4 ways of determining this particular calendar. But yet we see other people want to be like, oh, well, this part of Jubilees needs to be erased. This part of Enoch needs to be omitted. It just doesn't line up. This scroll is not right. Now we're hearing that the Dead Sea Scroll is commentary. What? No. We can't do that. We have to be, using everything that is provided to us. We use the scrolls, we use Enoch, we use Jubilees, and now we have 1 Samuel 20 that ties everything up into a beautiful bouquet of flowers, for us. And that matters because it all has to make sense. Just like when we take something that Yahusha says, and I want to bring up, and I'm just bringing it up here, but in the case of remarriage divorce, it looks like Messiah is saying one thing and then Deuteronomy is saying another. Or are we just misinterpreting what it is actually saying, okay, and not using it correctly? It all needs to make sense. And if something doesn't, we can't just throw it out and say, oh, it must be a mistranslation. No, it has to fit. It has to be worked out correctly. And that is what is so amazing with this particular 2-cycle calendar that we found. And you know what? Let me just take a picture. Okay. Maybe if I just take a picture and describe it, you guys could blow it up. This is the first part, and oops, hold on a second. So there's that. There's that. And let me just try to crop. Maybe that will work. Quentin, stay here. See, now the kids are out. Okay. So, Quentin, stay in the yard, please. Okay. All right. So, could everyone see these pictures? Here's the first one. Here's the second one. Could everyone see those?
Yeah.
Okay. You could blow them up. You could take a look at the verses on them. I know it looks very, very busy, but I really wanted to put these on this visual because they're so important to understanding these two cycles that we see. Over there. Okay. Do you guys want to go back in the pool? Yes. You want to go to Auntie's? Okay. Okay. So, all right. So the first and second picture, yeah, if you just want to take a brief look. So we have two cycles. We have where it starts in the blue, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, your void, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is your creation week. So the first 3, 4, 5, 6 is the end of the last year. So 7 would be the 364th day of that particular cycle. Then we have in the purple, 24, 25, 26, 27, that would be ending of the year. And we have our 52nd Sabbath of the monthly count. And then we start on day 4. If you look at the blue count, see, it's so hard to not point. You would take it down to the monthly count, and that would be day 1 of creation. So these two cycles, Jubilee speaks of the weekly, the one in the blue, the cycle of weeks, and it's holding our 7 days, 7-day weeks in a 364-day year. So in this way, yes, we see that there's 365.24 days from vernal equinox to vernal equinox. But that 365th day becomes 0. And that's in between the 7 and creation week, the last Sabbath and creation week. But we're told in the Dead Sea Scrolls that the Tekufa has to start on day 4 of the week. And this is why this particular visual is so important, because now you could see creation week being held and what day that we start the months on. And you see that menorah there with the 4th is the straight line branch of the menorah. And all of the other branches are kind of curved away from it. And this is because the equinox day, we get that straight line shadow event that occurs that everybody is well aware of. But every other day, those branches are curved, just like the line isn't straight. It's curved every other day. So this event is really, really important, and it's critical because this is a day that Yah's esteem and the sun would shine through the pillars onto the temple, the Holy of Holies, or the tabernacle, and it would be illuminated. This is Yah's esteem. This is no abominable day, let me tell you, Nick Vanderland. This is a very important event. But this event could be seen all throughout the world. And with the exception of kind of what had happened with the Dateline event, some people in 1/4 of the world kind of saw this day a day before. Marissa, do you want to explain why? Could you explain why that happened? Or Jeremy?
Yeah, I can kind of explain it a little bit. So it's because the Tekufa or equinox is a 1.24 day long event.
Okay. Yes.
So certain years, the Tekufa will start in the evening prior. And certain years, it starts in the morning and goes into the evening. So the last year, certain people caught it because it started in the evening prior. So here, especially in the Western U.S., what they caught was the sun lining up. So just like Enoch 72:5 is speaking of, it's that sun, when it's setting in the west, it's actually lining up for the Tekufa equinox because it's 1.24 days long. And so they caught it lining up at the end there. So
Claudia. Say chi.
a lot.
Sorry.
I thought you were saying something. Sorry. So what a lot of people do is, so there was a lot of amateurs that caught it, and a lot of, people who have claimed they've been doing it for a while. They caught it lining up at the end of the day. And so they are making claims they caught it on the 19th. But we know all the rest of the world, and even in Israel itself, they caught it on the 20th. And Aaron Ryan, Alan Pizarak, several people in our own group caught it on the 20th. So the discrepancy is because that the event is just 1.24 days long. So they're catching the tail end of it or the beginning of it lining up. And I know there were some claims where some people, they didn't even get readings on the 19th, but they claim that that's when they caught it. Or they're in the middle of like a really dense wooded area. So their tree line would be blocking the early morning and later evening readings, which are very important for tracking the straight line shadow as well. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That's basically
Yeah.
why, yeah.
So this is what's going on. So, this is why it's important to understand the 0.24 is because it's, that long. So this is incredible, right? And I think Marissa has, I'm going to have to go look up her article or her write-up on that, actually how many hours and minutes. But yeah, she has a write-up on that. Jeremy, remind me to look that up.
I'll try to. And I also wanted to mention the importance of the number 4 as well, because a lot of people don't realize. So, the fourth command is keep Sabbath day. The fourth gate in Enoch, which is also the fourth letter of the alphabet, Gadol Dalet, which means the gate or the door. The fourth day being marked by the Tekufa, the fourth branch on the menorah being the longest, straightest branch. And if you count the Tekufa day and go back 4, you hit the equal lux, the equal day and equal night.
Yeah.
If you do the same counting from day 4, 4 days later, you're going to get the 7th day Sabbath. So 4 is very important as well. There's 4 seasons of the year, 4 tekufas that mark these seasons, the 4 intercalary days. Like
Yeah.
4 is very important, and a lot of people don't realize that.
Right. And then we have Tekufa being said in scroll 4Q324D that the Tekufa is on the 4th day. And it really kills me. I'm like head, planted into my palm of my hand, because I watched another teaching today on another calendar, another Zadok calendar that I was unaware of that people are erecting. But for some reason, they want to have the equinox on the 3rd day of creation week, which I'm like, how? Like, why? We have the scrolls, like, use them, But I went in and commented, and I probably should put in the link of scroll Q324D. That I'm gonna have to go in there and do it. But the amazing part is that they do see the divider day, and they do see the priestly consecration, which is absolutely beautiful. They have parts of the calendar. And they're seeing the equinox. They just need to be able to understand what the equinox does. And that this is really hard for people to kind of grasp, that we use both of these events. But both of these events are very, very, very critically important, because what the equinox does, the equinox does is it holds creation week. It divides the year and it holds the next creation week. So the last week, there is a divide, and there is a new year and a new weekly cycle. It can't go on and on and on and on, because that's not Yah's calendar. He has to put a divide between the day. And what does he use? A night. He divides each day, not like day to day to day. No, there's night that divides each day. This is critically important to understand, because we also have the seasonal dividers. He divides these seasons. There's so many ways. You could even say, good and evil. He divides. He divides light and dark. He's in this business of divisions. Why can't he divide his year to hold it in place? And that's all this extra day does, is it holds, and it's just a very important aspect to his calendar. And there's many witnesses on it. And then I don't have my notebook, but see Job 3:6, Job 38:18 through 20. Those are talking about this day 0. And then we have Jubilees 1. And this is talking about this division of the years. There is a division. And then we have this is talking about the cycle of weeks in Jubilees. Jubilees 4:17 through 19, Jubilees 50, 1 through 4. This is on the top left-hand corner of this. These are all the scriptural references of the 2 cycles, and that's the Jubilees verses. So we have a couple witnesses there. We also have a witness in 1QS column 10, verses 3 through 5, that there's a difference between the weeks and the months. And if you go on the bottom left, we have Enoch talking about the months, and that's in Enoch 72, 4 through 6, also in verse 32, also in chapter 74, verse 12, we're talking about the sun and the stars holding the year. So if the creation, or if the cycle of 7 just goes on and on and on and is so perpetual, then why on earth would Jubilees say, oh, well, the sun is what marks days, the years, the months, and the weeks. Because it says Shabbat's there, but a week is the Shabbat. Here's your proof right here that the sun is what sets the year. It resets it and it sets it. And we have those witnesses in 74:12, Enoch 74:12, and also in 82, 4 verses 4 through 7, and also in 75, 1 through 2. And then we have the Job 38, 33 through 31. Oh my goodness. That's a good one. Hold on, let me go there. Let me just look it up. Job 38, 31. Do you bind the bands of Kama or loosen the cords of Kessil? Do you bring out the constellations in its season, or do you lead the bear with its sons? Or do you know the laws of the heavens? Or do you set their rule over the earth?
That's it right there.
And this exactly. And this also, these laws of the luminaries, is also discussed in Jeremiah. I should probably add that one in too. Laws of the luminaries.
Yeah, exactly.
Hold on, let me find that one. Because then we go and take a look at Jubilee 6, and it describes what these laws of the luminaries are. It actually mentions it. And it describes the laws of the stars. Or the seasonal dividers, I'm sorry. Not the stars, the seasonal divisions. And the
Yeah.
importance of keeping them. Yeah. Hold on a second. I feel like I have so much saved in my notes. And whenever I go to look for it, I'm like, where am I supposed to find it? So crazy. Oh, I think I found it. Here we go. Praise Yah. Jeremiah 31:35. Thus said Yahuah, who gives the sun for a light by day and the laws of the moon and the stars for a light by night, who stirs up the seas and its waves roar. Yahuah of hosts is his name. If these laws vanish from before me, declares Yahuah, then the seed of Yasharal shall also cease from being a nation before me. So what laws? Well, the laws of the luminaries. Most directly refers to a section within the book of Enoch, specifically chapters 72 through 82, which outlines the courses of the laws of the sun, the moon, the stars. And these chapters, also known as the Book of the Heavenly Luminaries, describe the movements and functions of the celestial bodies, including their rising and setting times and the roles in determining the seasons in the calendar. So there are more laws of the moon in Enoch, which her cycle is 10 days short, hence the modern day unbiblical 13th month. So, and then we have the Jubilee laws of the 4 divisions. I'm sure everyone is familiar with that. But these have to be making, 52 days, and the year is complete.
52 weeks of 7 days. Yeah.
Yep, 52 weeks. Or, 52 weeks of days. 50 weeks of days. Wait, and the commandment will be 2 and 50 weeks of days. Yeah. And then, yeah. So, I mean, honestly, if we say that we could move our calendar to a Wednesday or the equinox to the first Wednesday, we are not using luminaries. We're using Babylon's calendar. Period. We're not using scripture when we do that because there is no instruction.
Yep, exactly. No, perfect explanation. It's an hour and 15 minutes. Not too shabby, honestly. And that's with looking stuff up. Oh, did you hear Katrina?
Yeah, sorry, my kids are coming in and out.
Yeah, no worries. No, yeah, exactly. So we can do it in about an hour, I believe, because it's an hour and 15 minutes in, and that's with, going through and looking up stuff still. If we have it all laid out, it'll definitely take less than an hour, I think. That's about the time allotted for Jackson Snyder. Yeah, does anybody have questions or anything they would like to add as well? Or what have you, Feel free, bring it up. It's our fellowship.
Jeremy,
Yeah.
could you go over your explanation of how you come about the Day of Trumpets? I mean, I think what you're doing is counting 92 days from the fourth day of the week, or the first, yeah, from the fourth day of the week, from the equinox, the vernal equinox, and then you're coming to the 18th. And I was wondering why we can't use the autumnal equinox for the Day of Trumpets.
Well, it's because the autumn equinox it won't always be 91 days exactly. Some years it is, but some years it'll have like 92 days in the summer, but then it'll have 90 days in the winter.
Okay,
And
so
it
because
really
I know that 92 days from the spring equinox would technically bring the first day of fall.
Yeah, so
Or
how the
no, I'm sorry. The equinox would bring the first day of fall, but the 18th would be the count of 92 days from the fourth day of the week, from the
yeah.
spring equinox.
So that's what we see in scroll 4Q324D as well. And
Okay, that's
trumpets is going to be the first day of the seventh month. And so what the sons of Zadok did was, so the spring equinox is the determining factor.
for the whole year.
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay,
even if, like, say, the summer had the 92 days in it, it would still, like, that's not going to determine when the seventh month is. And I believe that's because of Enoch, what is it, 80, where it says, these things are going to be just slightly off. Now, some people will use Enoch 80 to the extreme and say, oh, well, things are so far off, we can't use them. That's not the case. And I believe Enoch 80 just explains this discrepancy that we see sometimes. But what we see is, like the summer it'll have 92, the winter will have 90. So it still would equal out to 91 days the whole season. It's just one is being taken from one and put somewhere else.
Yeah.
I can't explain
Okay.
exactly why, but just Enoch 80 would be my guess. Is it?
Okay. Back to the books.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Yeah, no problem. And we do see, because of that discrepancy, that's why people like Nick Vanderland, they want to throw out Enoch and Jubilees and things like that in the Dead Sea Scrolls. And it's just because, we're in that time of sin. So sin has an effect on everything. And that's what Enoch 82 basically explains as well.
Is Nick Vanderland on a Saturday only Sabbath mentality too?
No, he does a divider day, but he
Hmm.
does it similar. Actually,
He
he
does
does
it
it
on
similar
the
to,
equinox. His
yeah,
divider is on the equinox. He's not seeing the 2 cycles.
yeah.
I went in there and posted all the verses for the 2 cycles, and he said, pretty much, get out of here, woman.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So he does what Dustin Hoffman does as well, because I believe Dustin Hoffman was kind of following what he was doing for a bit. But they put the 0 day on the solar count, and so they're dividing creation week in the middle of it when they do that. And it's because they don't see the 2 cycles. They're only seeing the solar cycle, and that's it. The 2 cycles can be a tough one to explain it for some. Some get it right away. And I think it's because Babylon, we grew up with, oh, what is it? The 31st of December is the last day of the year, and the 1st of January is the first day of the year. So we only have that single cycle. So everybody's used to that. But in reality, we see there's a creation week cycle, and then there's the solar monthly cycle. They both work together. And then the witnesses we have in the stars and the moon. A lot of people don't even use the stars as a witness, or they try to say, it's just the moon that's a determining factor. And, like we've shown, that's just simply not the case. All over Enoch, it's describing the sun and the stars. Job, Wisdom of Solomon, and the Dead Sea Scrolls themselves, Jubilees, they speak how the sun is the determining factor. And that's what I don't understand about the ones who, they want to go back to using the moon to determine the years. Well, nowhere does it say that we use the moon for those things. Nowhere does it say that we use a priestly cycle or a weekly cycle to determine the years. We see that it's the sun. So yeah, I know we're gonna have a lot of feedback on Jackson tonight because I'm sure Robert Villa is gonna be there, Rojo is gonna be there, and they're out for our group basically, and it's because you know we speak the truth. We tell them Saturday is not always gonna be the Sabbath day. They don't like that. And oh yeah, didn't you have some stuff on Saturn you wanted to talk about, Katrina?
Well, I don't know if you want to play some of those videos that I sent you on TikTok or YouTube, but, it pretty much is saying that Satan is Saturn. I mean, that's something that we need to really take into consideration because, we see in scripture, like in Amos, people were worshiping Saturn. Literally says Saturn. And I do feel in a very strong way that they are ignorantly worshiping him. Not, of course, they want to worship Yahuah, but what they're really doing is worshiping on Satan's calendar, and it's set up this way. You take a look at. It's so funny. I watched a video with Avi Ben Mordecai and Eddie Chumney. They were like, "Oh, this is how I came out because, like, oh, these months are named after Babylon." It's like, well, yeah. So is the weeks. It's the same exact thing, but they're different. The months are different. The weeks are different. Just as we have determined how to set our months, it's the same thing with the weeks. I just made a video on that, trying to explain that. But yeah, it's we can't be worshiping Saturn. We can't bring in Babylon into the worship of Yah. And that's what everyone who wants to move the equinox day to Wednesday, that's exactly what they're doing. They're continuing the idolatry, and this is the reason why we're kicked out of the land. We need to stop it. We need to do better.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And there's a lot of people who claim, Saturday's the preserved Sabbath since creation.
Ugh.
Well,
Oh, that's that video. Wait, I just uploaded one to TikTok. Play this. Or YouTube. Hold on. I just put it up there. Play this. 5 minutes. Right here. Now,
are you?
the one good thing about these lunar Sabbatarians is they have amazing content proving out that Saturn's day has not been the same since creation. And this video is a prime example of that. There you go. Play, let me see you. Let me see.
So basically, I was gonna say real quick before we watch this video,
There you go, babe.
but it's really easy to screen share too, anyways. But Saturday cannot be traced through history to the beginning of creation. One, because it was only in 321 AD that Constantine created the 7-day weekly cycle as we know it. Before that, Rome observed a floating lunar calendar, a quasi-week is what they call it, meaning a week dependent off like a sliver or sighting of the moon. And they got that from the Greeks, the Seleucid Empire, which also the Pharisees and Sadducees got from the Greeks and the Seleucid Empire. So this is why we see they followed the same calendar, just, the Pharisees and Sadducees had the Babylonian names still, whereas the Greeks and the Romans put in Greek and Roman god names. Same exact calendar. And this is why we see Josephus and Philo, I believe, where one's writing about, it was Saturn's day when the Jews had their Sabbath day. And Josephus is talking about it was Sabbath day on the Romans' Saturn's day, because they both followed the same floating weekly style calendar, and Saturday was actually day one of their quasi week. It went Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Although not named that because it was still named after the gods. But that's where we get our modern week names as well, which is all based off, a man-made week. And so the ones who claim, oh, look, we can trace Saturday back to creation. Well, no, you can't, because it's only existed since 321 AD. So it can't be traced. But let me get this video up real quick. 1 second here.
Hold on. Yeah, one second. Yeah, let's go. We should. Sarah, did you want to maybe jump in on Jackson Snyder and talk about that stuff? Not excited.
Mom. Oh, Mom, look at your cat.
Say hi, Quentin.
Can I say hi? Hi, this is my baby. Hi. Hi.
Hi. Say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Say Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
You like my baby?
No.
So lifelike.
Shalom.
Yeah, and she's silicone.
Shalom.
Aww.
You want to sing a song?
Yeah.
What do you want to sing?
Our Father up in the heavenly, your name is most holy, your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us our daily bread, forgive us as we forgive all men. Lead us from temptation and deliver us from evil. Yours is the kingdom, yours is the power, yours is the glory. Huh. Yay, yay.
Yay, beautiful.
Oh, I love it.
Yes.
Is that her Dolly?
Yeah.
Hi. She's
So-
super sweet.
Okay.
Well, let me get this video here up on screen. And then, where is it? Here it is. And then, yeah, it's only, 5 minutes? Yeah. So I'll go ahead and mute my mic. But yeah, this is going to speak a little bit about the history of Saturday or Saturn's Day.
Goes all the way back to creation, and that it hasn't missed anything, that it's always been the same. So here he's explaining this, and I wanted you to see this. So it says, so how did that happen? All of this about AD 321, what happened? Do you remember Constantine? He was the emperor who venerated the day of the sun to the first day of the week. We know this from history as the day of worship for the empire. That's Constantine, which we got the Julian calendar from, hence his name, Julius Caesar. When the Roman legions returned from the world conquest, they brought home with them Mithraism, which is a cult mystery religion, which is, it'll be explained in this. So, and the pagan 7-day planetary week, which we have today, which created a couple of centuries of calendar unrest in the Roman Empire. He goes on to say, Constantine worshipped Mithra, the second member of the Persian version of the Sun God Trinity. In AD 321, the Roman Republican calendar was scrapped, and Constantine adopted the pagan 7-day planetary week, which held SAT Day as the first day of the week. Then Constantine did not want the day of his son, God, taking a back seat to the planetary week, SAT Day. So when he venerated the day of the sun, all he did was bump SAT Day out of the coveted number 1 position in the week all the way to the 7th day, which was vacated by all the other days, moving up 1 position in the weekly cycle. This permitted the day of the sun to hold the preeminent first day position to serve his deity, which he believed in. So just imagine all the stuff that they've done to this calendar that the whole world keeps. He goes on to say, the order of the days did not change. SAT Day was still preceded by that planet, aka F Day, and was followed by the Sun's Day. And in reality, SAT Day is still the first day of the week because the originators of the pagan planetary week did not change their calendar. Constantine did. Please make a note of this. Yahuah did not make SAT Day the 7th day of the week. Constantine did. So, I mean, that should be common sense, because at creation, there was no Gregorian calendar. There was no Julian calendar. Where did this whole name come from of SAT Day? And I'm paraphrasing the name because I do not invoke the names of other deities, which is Exodus 23:13. So, whoever is in charge of the calendar. The calendar you observe tells you when to work and when to worship. When you worship tells heaven and the onlooking universe who you worship. So getting the day right is that serious. I mean, as you know, Scripture tells you that there's a 4th commandment that tells you to keep the 7th day as the day of rest, as the Sabbath day. And all throughout Scripture, when you get to studying, you will see that the Sabbath day is kept from Old Testament to New Testament. And the Gregorian calendar did not exist in the wilderness with the Israelites or at creation. Neither did the Julius calendar or the Julian calendar. So I love how he puts these things in perspective. And let me just give.
So, yeah, as you can see, Saturday cannot be traced back to history, back to creation as the Sabbath day. And it's a modern construct of man.
This is why it's so important to use the luminaries, because you cannot go back through time and find a cyclical 7-day over and over and over and over and over. That's why the sun sets it every single year, right? It just makes the most sense. It's preserved. Creation week is preserved, starting with Genesis 1, 2, and going on. Did my phone go out?
No.
Okay.
I mean, if you think about it, the Gregorian calendar is literally like a big, trust me, bro. I'm looking at the stars and telling you the correct time.
Right.
You don't need to look up there yourself. Just trust me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I tell these people, all right, prove to me. Claudia, stop. I yeah, she's on my dad's camera here. Okay, Claudia. What was I just gonna say?
I feel like you were about to say the whole if you were on a deserted island thing.
Oh, no. Prove
No?
to me throughout time that the 7-day cycle hasn't changed. Prove it. And
Yeah.
when you go through the history of the calendars, you'll see that they're all on 8, 9-day weeks instead of 7. So how was that preserved? Just in the past couple generations. You can't. You cannot go back to creation week. I mean, anyone thinking that you can, they're out of their minds. It's impossible. It's just not possible.
Yeah, and they want to hate us and attack us for presenting this information when we have it written down, and it's not conjecture, it's not speculation, it's written. We could show proof of its existence. Unlike adding a week of 7 days every so many years, there's no proof of that. There's nothing in scriptures about it. And to say, well, all the priests in the priestly cycle served in the same week, that's not written either. That's all speculation. To say, well, the priestly cycle is determined by the specific moon cycle, again, that's not written either. That is authors' insertations that insert moon phases. And it's not written. Like, it's all speculation, everything they present. We can actually present physical evidence of these things, and it just gets blown off and ignored by all these, so-called fellow Zadok followers. It's really sad, honestly. But yeah, we see it mentioned by scholars and Rachel Elior herself. And we see, yes, Hebrew does have a word for zero, or nothing, emptiness, void. Actually 3 words for it. And we see that there is a day added after that last Sabbath of the year, which is going to line up right with Genesis 1, 1 through 2, for that void before day 1 of week of creation. We can't move that like some folks want to do. And I got a message from Dustin Hoffman here just a few minutes ago, and he was like, yeah, I'm going to ask how you guys calculate the equal day and equal night and things like that. So I explained to him, well, that's basically what our presentation is going to be going over, actually. So there's a lot of claims that, it's only by modern, timekeeping that we know when equal day and equal night is. Well, we see that's untrue by it being written in Enoch, who speaks about equal day and equal night.
And it was also on the sundial. How to track it.
Exactly. That's what I was just. Yeah, that's what I was actually going to bring up.
Did we get cut off? Is everybody still
No,
there?
no. Yeah, I'm still here. I was just going to say, if anybody, has questions or wants to bring up anything. I did want to bring up, because Callan's had a sore throat the past couple of days, so if we can lift him up in prayers for healing.
But of course.
Thank you. So yeah, Shabbat Shalom, Sister Jermaine from the past.
Shabbat shalom.
So yeah, if you guys are just joining or you haven't heard yet, we have a presentation with Jackson Snyder tonight. And we just kind of went over it at the beginning half of our fellowship here. And it's 8 p.m. Eastern, so basically the same time as usual. And I had the link pinned up there, or someone else pinned something, so it took away the link.
Wait, I'm sorry, Jeremy. You said 8 o'clock Eastern?
Yeah. So
So
7.
So 7 o'clock my time?
Yeah, it should be.
I always get so confused with all that.
Yeah. So here is the link to the Zoom. I'll reply to it here. Or I'll just copy it. No, that's not it. Hold on. So yeah, there in the chat, gonna be the Zoom link for Jackson Snyder. So yeah, we won't have like a 9-10 hour fellowship today because we do have our Jackson Snyder presentation. So yeah, does anybody else have any questions or anything they want to add, or you got anything you'd like to add, Katrina?
I do want to mention that Jackson has reached out to Jeremy and that he had some concerns about me in our last Sabbath gathering. And I'm just really surprised that he didn't come to me about it. If you have a problem with your brother or sister, like, go to them about it. And then, if you can't get through to them, take 1 or 2 witnesses. And if that doesn't work, you bring it out to the assembly. me and Marissa and Jeremy both constructed an email back to him. I think that he was very, very, very unfair with what he said about me. Now, I know I'm very zealous for the truth, and I did cut in, but it's only because, you know, Colton sees the divider day, but he does not see that we can't move the start date to a pagan Wednesday. And he and Robert were going back and forth like, yeah, bro, like, this is awesome. Like, we agree or whatever. Even though it doesn't make any kind of sense. But yeah, he was saying a couple things that were very untrue. He was saying that I was cutting Colton off in his presentation. That was not true. His presentation was over, and it was during a Q&A. And, yeah, I just wanted to bring it up here. And, you know, I really just wish that we could actually have an open discussion dialogue and, you know, have people be just heard instead of pushed aside and ignored. It's just really sad. I know I could do better in my my delivery and such, but, you know, it's just really sad. But I you know, even if I mention, hey, look, let's debate, it just seems as though it's probably not even worth it at this point. The disrespect is, I don't know, not nice.
Yeah,
I was really taken back by that email. I watched over that video. I'm sorry, Jeremy. I watched over that video about like 3 or 4 times, and he's like, he edited out certain things, and I'm watching. I'm like, the only thing that he edited out was me in the beginning, me and him's dialogue right from jump. He mentioned me, and he's like, I've been seeing Katrina's stuff, you know, and whatever. And he said something like nice, actually, about me. I was like, oh, thanks. Well, he edited that out. That's what he edited out. I was just like, oh, okay. That makes sense. But yeah, he couldn't edit out all of the, like, technical difficulties that they had in the beginning. I was like, wow, mind-blowing. Really, truly. Crazy. Oh, wow. I guess this is just the price that some people have to pay for, you know, trying their best.
yeah. No, I was kind of taken back by it too because, you know, they were claiming, oh, Katrina was rude and jumped in and interrupted.
Mm-mm.
When you listen to it, like, none of that was actually true. And, you know, there was claims like, oh, you didn't raise your hand, things like that.
Nobody
Well,
raised their hands.
nobody
Nobody
had
did.
raised. Yeah.
And you
And,
had your hand raised for 20 minutes,
yeah.
and you didn't
I
get
had,
anywhere.
yeah. Exactly. I had my hand raised for like 20 minutes and it wasn't acknowledged at all. So I had to jump in and say, you know, excuse me, I've had my hand raised. I would like to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was given the opportunity to speak, and I was jumped on by like 3 or 4 other people also who did not raise their hands.
That wasn't
Because,
nice.
yeah, because, you know, we believe in the divider day. And it's like, you know, I wasn't even able to finish my complete question/statement to Colton because that's what I was asking him. And then when I was finally able to address it, because he's, you know, He's tossing out the Dead Sea Scrolls. He says they're just commentary. And it's like, well, have you read Ezekiel 44? And he was like, yeah, not in a while. I was like, you should really read it. Because it talks about how the sons of Zadok, they were ordained by Yahuah himself to keep these things. So if you're going to toss out what the sons of Zadok wrote and say it's all just commentary, it's not us or them you're disobeying. You're disobeying a direct command from Yahuah. But again, I wasn't even able to get that out fully because I was just interrupted constantly. So that's why this evening I'm going to ask, just like everybody else, please wait until the end for the questions. I already know we're going to have Pharisee trap questions coming up, so we'll be ready for them then.
I don't even want a dialogue with Robert. Like, if he comes in and asks a question, we could be like, next question, please.
Exactly. Like,
honestly,
yeah,
he hasn't answered one single one of our questions yet.
yeah, I would agree.
Like,
I would let that be made known and say, look, we've been asking you questions for almost a year that you haven't answered. I'm sorry, but we're going to have to move on to another question because,
yep.
We've answered plenty for you. You haven't answered any for us. And besides that, all his questions are Pharisee trap questions anyway.
They're not even needed. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not there to learn. He's there to try to discredit us.
Yeah. Yeah. And what he's doing is he's discrediting Yahuah in the process, and it's just a sad thing. So. I made a video because he was doing, someone sent me a teaching. I was like, I'll watch it. And he was saying how the luminaries don't set the years, it's the priestly cycles that do. So I was like, okay, so that doesn't work because here's all the verses. And then he actually commented the audacity of him underneath, and he said, thank you for oh gosh, what did he say? Promoting our teaching. I'm like, I'm not promoting your teaching. I'm just deleting his stuff at this point. I'm not promoting your teaching. I'm shutting it down. It's just not fair. It's not fair to what he's doing. It's really sad. Because it should be about unity. Like, we should be coming together instead of this ridiculous behavior. Just really, really sad.
Yeah, unfortunately. But yeah, it's all we can do is pray for them, honestly. And their views of our videos is actually helping the algorithm for us. So
Yeah. Yeah. As long as Yahusha's message gets through to who it needs to get through to. It's his calendar that he wants out now. We just have to be the willing vessels to plant the seeds for the people who do want to hear. So, and it's incredible because every single day, just like today, Greg Hickle sent me that teaching, right, Greg? He sent me that teaching. I'm like, wow. Yeah, it's a different calendar, but they nailed the divider day. And they nailed the priestly consecration. Incredible.
yeah.
Thrilled. Hopefully I could get with these girls. I mean, all I want to do is talk to people. I can't get in touch with anybody. Who are these people that I can't get in touch with? Colton. I was like, oh yeah, brother, let's get in touch. I sent you the article. Commented all over his YouTube. Yet to hear from him. Well, thanks, you know. Whatever.
Yeah, unfortunately. But, look how many, how many family members we have here. All the people who are hungry for truth. And, that's what it's about. All praise to the Most High.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that parable of the seed, right? The one that gets stuck in the thorns and the thistles, the one that doesn't get, put into good soil that's by the river.
Yep, exactly. And
The one that gets thrown on concrete, and so it can't even take root, The hardness of people's hearts causes that seed to not be sown.
yeah, exactly. And that's really what it is, All we can do is spread the seeds, and where they land, is depending on each person, really. Like, are we truly seeking the truth of Yahuah? Are we willing, to admit where we're wrong or we have been wrong? And yeah, like, that was a good example, concrete. If you throw seeds on concrete, nothing's going to grow. So that can represent the hardness of someone's heart as well. So if our heart's hard like concrete, we're not going to be able to have seeds be planted or grow. And
Which
that
is why.
concrete, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Just
I'm
real
sorry.
quick, it's okay. That concrete can represent, oh, well, we already know everything. We have this all figured out. So now we have that layer of concrete there, and no one's ever going to change that. No evidence, nothing. But yeah, now go ahead,
Yeah.
Katrina.
Yeah, which is, Marissa does not want to present tonight on Jackson, and I understand where she's coming, because I think that's kind of what she feels, is that, we're going in there and planting seeds on concrete, because that's what we're getting from the majority of all of them. I think Jackson is the only one that really truly sees it, but yet, he's kind of playing his friends. He's taking his friend's side, it seems. And so that's what, Marissa wants to wash her hands from it, because we gave him a lot of, really, really good seeds, and, and then you get these like when I tried to explain the calendar to Colton, and then Jackson cut me off and says, "You must be a genius or something. Nobody could really understand what you're saying." It's like, thanks. I said, what did I say? I said, actually, it's really very simple. It's so simple. Everyone else here is making it so much more complicated than it needs to be. So simple.
Yeah, and
That's
that's the
what.
thing, Yeah, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's everything, according to Yahuah, it's so simple. A child should be able to understand it. So when people complicate things like, sliver moons, conjunctions of moons, all these crazy mathematical equations, calculations, all these man-made things to try to like say, oh, there's a discrepancy in the calendar, we can't figure it out, so we're just gonna add a 13th month. or we're just going to add a week every so many years because of some discrepancy they can't figure out. Well, they can't figure it out because it's so simple. We just start counting at zero, really. That's how easy it is. But it's so simple. Everyone wants to overcomplicate it and be like, well, that can't be it. That's too simple. Well, no, not really. You know, my son understands it. He's only 11 years old. He gets it.
Yeah, Claudia understands it. Maybe I should have Claudia present tonight.
Yeah, right. We can have Callan and Claudia present for us.
My gosh, that would be so perfect, wouldn't it? That's what we should be doing. Well, you guys don't want to hear it from us. That's what we should do. You guys don't want to hear it from us. We're going to have our kids speak and let you be dickheads to our, kids if you want to do that. Like, ugh. Pardon my French.
Yeah.
Katrina, you mentioned Job 3:6 here some time back, which
Yeah.
I've read. I really like that. That I know that gets right in there to the meat of everything. But
Oh, yeah.
I thought you mentioned another scripture out of the canon as well. Did you not?
Yeah, I mentioned a couple Job verses. You mean in Job?
No, throughout the canon. Yeah.
Yeah,
Even if it's
Ezekiel.
just Job, but I thought you mentioned some other book.
1 Samuel 20.
Okay. What verse?
Just all of 1 Samuel 20 shows us with the hot bread what day the Sabbath was on.
Okay.
Libby went over that.
Oh yeah, and the
Okay,
stone, right? And the stone
Yeah.
too.
The stone of Azalea.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked that one.
So good.
okay, thank you.
Is there something specific in that picture? What verse? There's Wisdom of Solomon, Job 3, Job 38. There's Ezekiel 43. That's the straight line shadow. And then all the verses in Job 9. Yeah. And 38. Yeah. Those are the biggies.
Okay, give me that Ezekiel number with the straight line shadow again.
Oh, that's Ezekiel 43, 1 through 5.
Okay.
There's also Psalms 19 as well. Psalms really gives a really good indicator of starting the year.
Yeah, all of Psalm 19 right there.
It's talking about creation and the luminaries and when the bridegroom comes out of the chamber and many, many allusions to, the beginning of the year.
And the straight line as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
As it says,
Okay, that's a good start. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we found a lot of verses in the canon only because a lot of people want to say, oh, well, show me from the canon only all these things. And so we've gathered all the verses so we can show them, look, the canon, quote unquote canon, it supports Enoch and it supports Jubilees. And Enoch and Jubilees support the canon as well.
Right. Where do you think the canon got the
Yeah.
the inspiration from?
Well, I believe that's in the canon too, but most people don't. That's why I just said canon.
Yeah. Yeah, and most people don't understand where the quote unquote canon comes from. And if you just look into the history, the Council of Jamnia, that was Rabbi Akiva and his students. They went around taking all the Torah scrolls and things they found in the temple. They had their own scribes rewrite them and omit, take out things, change things to hide the Messiah, hide the calendar, and all kinds of other reasons.
Jeremy,
And
what was that council name called?
that's Jamnia.
Oh, so not Nicaea, but Jamnia?
Yeah, the Council of Jamnia.
Jamnia. Was that way before the Council of Nicaea?
Oh yeah, yeah. That
Yeah,
was the that
like
was
before.
basically yeah.
Sorry.
It was no worries. It's the rabbis' version of the Council of Nicaea, basically.
Uh,
And then the Council of Nicaea convened after that, and they were going off what the rabbis, quote unquote, Akiba found.
can you put that council name in the chat, please?
Yeah, it's
So I can make a note of it. Because I usually just reference the Council of Nicaea, but thank you, Jeremy. Because I didn't even hear about the Council of Jamnia.
yeah, it's one they don't like to mention because they don't want you seeing. Look, this is who made up the modern, quote unquote, 66 book canon we have.
Right.
Yep.
Thank you.
And that's yeah. And that's where we get all these, all these apocryphal books and pseudepigrapha. If they weren't in the canon, then we don't need them anyway. And it's like, that's a really lame excuse because nowhere in scriptures does it say we have a canon. And if you actually test all these books that they quote unquote remove, they were originally there. So if they were originally there, it's not adding to his word, it's actually bringing back what was taken away.
Yeah, again, I think about the number of scriptures they wrote in Esdras, right? Like he said, I think there were like 208, I think. I don't have Esdras in front of me right now, but that's how many they wrote. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I guess the Council of Jamnia was to remove those, right?
Akiva removed Enoch, Jubilees, Esdras, many of what's known as apocryphal books. I think he removed Wisdom of Solomon, things like that.
He had to
All
have
because,
removed part of the Psalms too to even, because he wrote a psalm every day for an entire year.
Yeah, exactly.
So we
really,
should.
yeah. So what he did, basically, he took, and this is found in the history when you look it up. So he had him and his students go around all of like Israel, basically, and the surrounding places, and spread this doctrine and to collect manuscripts that were found, like original ones, like of the Torah scrolls. And then they would take these manuscripts and quote unquote edit them, meaning, taking away stuff, adding stuff, changing a verse. And they did it to not only hide Messiah, but hide the true calendar. And that's where, the whole denying Enoch and Jubilees comes from. That's where the sons of Seth ideology comes from, because it was them who started that. That's where the whole... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, just with you saying that, Jeremy, it kind of reminds me of what they say about the Dark Ages, right? Like they were taking away people's Bibles, burning them, stuff like that. Like, and I know the timeline can get a little fuzzy with dates and everything, but, we see that, then King James comes out with his own Bible, and that was okay to be spread through everywhere, but yet we have book burnings before that. And so those were, I mean, you would pretty much be killed if you were found with a Bible. And so they hid most of them, but you have people burning them. So it makes me wonder if it was because, a mass amount of people had the true, scriptures, and they were trying to edit those books out again.
Exactly. That's exactly what they did, and that's how we got our, quote unquote 66 book canon. Why that specific number? Because if you take half of 66, what do you get? 33. That's our favorite numbers. Sixes, threes, things like that. But yeah, it's really important to go and study the history out. Otherwise, you're going to be lost. Because there's too many people online that are claiming, oh, don't trust Enoch, don't trust Jubilees, don't trust any apocryphal book. The thing is, the people saying these things are parroting it from other people who have not read them or tested them. They've probably only read like a verse or two out of the entire books. And then they make claims like, oh, this contradicts scriptures. And then when you ask them how,
Yeah, and it's probably from the wrong translation of it too, by the way. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Just like Ecclesiasticus, which also they removed and call Apocrypha. But, it speaks about, so there's a verse, I think it's in chapter 43, but they 100% mistranslated it to say, oh, the moon determines the Sabbaths and festivals. Well, that literally contradicts everything else we find everywhere else. But when you take that verse, because, this is my thoughts on it. When I first saw that, I was like, is Ecclesiasticus even legit if that's what it's saying in there? So I had to get to the bottom of it. So I found the original Hebrew, Aramaic, took that same verse, put it in the translator, and it does not say the moon is for the Sabbaths or festivals at all. It actually says the moon is the object for Esau and for the basically wicked in the end times. So
That's interesting.
yeah. So it's literally speaking the truth. Like the moon is for the wicked in the end times and the object of Esau. Who is Esau? Well, those who say they are Jews but are not. The synagogue of Hasatan.
The Edomites.
Yep.
That's Esau, right? The Edomites?
Yep. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Edom is from Esau. So who's the one following the moon? And it's their object. Exactly like Wisdom of Ecclesiasticus says. And so they have to do things like that and mistranslate things or say, oh, look, it says this when it really doesn't. And then they got so many people fooled. Like so many people think Chodesh means new moon. And it's like, well, can you define what a new moon is through scriptures? And instead of using scripture verses, things like that, it's a bunch of speculation and conjecture. Like, oh, this conjunction of this new moon and this sliver of that moon and things like that. It's like, okay, well, where is that in scripture? They can't find it. They can't show it. And it's like, can you show me Moses citing a moon in scripture and exactly what it is he's citing? They can't do that either. And even when you bring all that up to them, they still don't realize, like, hey, that's not in there. Maybe I should look into something else. No. It's because that moon has some kind of, it has an allure, really. And it gets people hooked on it. And it all stems back to Babylon. So yeah,
I was reading an article this morning because I was trying to understand, why the days were named after the planets. And, I I guess I've kind of forgotten some of the indoctrination of, the whole solar system and how everything, quote unquote, came to be through Big Bang. And so I just haven't, I guess I forget how ridiculous it all is. But there's 8 planets essentially. Okay. And what I thought was interesting is only 5 out of the 8 planets are named for the days of the week, because we know that the sun and moon aren't planets. And so those 2 hold, and again, coincidentally, those hold the weekend, right? So then you've got the other 5 days of the week, which would be Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, which are, I'm sorry. Sunday and Monday are named after the sun and moon. But then you've got the other 5 that are named after the planets. And I just thought it was odd that, those that believe we are in a solar system, I always wonder, like, why Earth doesn't have like a veneration, right? Like the other planets do. The one, quote unquote, planet we actually live on has no veneration at all. And then you have to remember that older civilizations never even believed we were in a solar system. They looked up at the stars as gods, not planets. So when you put the, quote unquote, planets back as stars, which they are, then that's where they named and venerated them as days of the weeks or even months. So, yeah, I just thought that was interesting because, yeah, like I said, the sun and moon aren't stars and they're not planets. But the so I guess the Anglo-Saxon word for day is dag, and it was added as a suffix to each of the names of the days of the week to indicate that the days were being discussed rather than the gods the days of the week were associated with. So, because they didn't always used to say Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They would say first day of the sun or day of Saturn. They put day before and then they use the god's name afterward. And now we kind of do it, the other way around. We say Saturday, Sunday. So again, just like a little play on the words there of how they kind of switch things up, but you're still getting in that trap.
Yeah, just a play on words, exactly. So Saturn's day is actually the day of Saturn.
Yes.
They switch the order.
Yeah.
And now you're ignorant to the fact.
Right. Yeah, because we're not talking about the god anymore. We're talking about the day. It's and you're still falling into the same trap though.
This is Ray. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. I was away here a little bit ago after I posted this. I posted about 3 months, March, April, and May, or March, April, and May of your calendar, the way I understand it, and I sent a copy to Dwayne the other day, and he didn't see any mistakes in it. So you might look it over and see if this agrees with what you're presenting as your calendar, and if it is, I'll go ahead and finish out this year. It takes me quite a while to put this together. So anyway,
you're on target.
I don't want to go ahead if it's okay.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this will be a good way to show that there are 365 days in a year.
Yeah, and also I haven't done it here, but I wonder if I can overlay the priestly courses on your calendar and how they would work out. I think they would work out fine.
Yeah. Yeah, because we have the priestly consecration from day 0 to day 6 of the first of creation week. And then that's when the priests are ready for the 7th.
Okay. I really don't understand that yet, but I'll have to look into that.
Our brother Ken is really good at explaining it, but
Where is Ken? I don't see
yeah,
him.
I was just looking for him.
I had him busy before the meeting. I was on the phone with Ken before the yeah, no, he's not here. He's got some things to do.
He can explain it really well.
Yeah.
And actually, yeah, we had asked if he can basically do a quick recording, speaking about it, because we wanted to mention it on Jackson Snyder.
What was that about, Jeremy?
The priestly courses and
the priestly courses. Okay, all right.
And the ordination, because that ordination is going to kick off the courses, and it's an 8-day process. Because on the 8th day, the priests are ready to do their services.
This is Marissa's write-up on it. I'll just put that in the chat. It's long.
Yeah, we do Marissa's write-up on it as well. And in my article, chapter 15, that's Marissa's write-up, and then I have some of what Ken wrote down in there as well. Basically, Ken and Marissa together. That's in my article.
Chapter 15.
Yeah, chapter 15.
Okay.
And yeah, they want to associate the priestly cycles with different moon phases, and unfortunately, that's what Rabbinic Judaism does. They align their priestly courses with the moon cycles.
Jeremy, you're kind of fading in and out. I can hear some of your speech, your words, but others I can't.
Sorry.
You get really, yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed the same thing.
It's my phone, because my phone, it'll start getting hot when it's on, so it'll start fading in and out for some reason on the signal.
Okay.
I'll try to speak a bit louder and hold it in a different position, I guess.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So a lot of people, they try to align the Mishmarot or the priestly courses with phases of the moon. And unfortunately, we see that's what Rabbinic Judaism does, is they try to align them up to phases of the moon because they follow the moon. So when you try to do the same... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I think that's what Gina and Sarah were doing, was trying to line it all up with phases of the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And our sister Marissa proved what they're doing does not line up to what we actually see what happens with the moon.
Yeah.
And so that's the information we've been coming to them with for almost a year. Because, Marissa went to Robert and was like, hey, I was interested and we wanted to believe what you're doing, but, this information here shows that it's off. And Robert was like, yeah, if we're off, I just want to make sure, send me it in a private message. And so Marissa sent it almost a year ago. And to this day, he still has not looked at it. Because, on Messenger, it shows a little icon if they've seen the message.
Yeah.
It's not there over a year later. And so, we've been presenting this information's in my article. We've talked about it several times, and we've shown the data that shows, what they do. It doesn't actually line up with what we see in real life. And they just refuse to address it. They refuse to look at it. When we ask, where are the scriptures to add, this week of 7 days anywhere? Where's the scriptures that say, the moon and the priestly cycles determine a year? And every time, they refuse to give an answer. They won't answer. Instead of answering, they'll ask another question, things like that. And that was really what I was getting to is, it's not the moon that's determining these priestly courses. And the priestly courses don't determine the calendar. It's actually the opposite. The calendar determines the priestly courses. And so this 7-day ordination that we see, it's in Leviticus, I believe 16. I have to look up the exact chapter numbers, but speaking about the priestly ordination, and it's a 7-day, and on the 8th day, they are ready to do the offerings and sacrifices. And so the only time that's going to fit within the calendar is in that, creation week, where we start with the 0. Because the 8th day, when they're ready to do the offerings and all that, would actually be the first Sabbath of the year, the 7th day of the week. So if they did their ordination starting on day 0, that divider day, their priestly ordination will be complete by preparation day for the Sabbath. And on Sabbath day, the priests would therefore be ready for all the offerings and things like that for the first Sabbath of the year. Any other way you try to do that, they're not going to be ready for the first Sabbath of the year. So if you start in the middle of the week, like say you view it like Nick or Destin does, where they put their 0 day in the middle of the week. Well, if you do your priestly ordination starting there, you're going to miss the first Sabbath. It's not going to work out. Or if you do a week of 7 days and that's your determining factor, well, you're still going to miss that first Sabbath of the year because they're not going to be ready until that 8th day. So again, they're going to miss that first Shabbat of the year. The only way that ordination works out is with the divider day being just like it shows us in Genesis, before the counting of days. That way the 8th day is going to be the 7th day Shabbat. And boom, priests are all set and ready for the entire year. And then that's what runs the priestly courses from there.
Well, I thought the priestly courses were 24 courses of 24 families that all served the same amount of time in a 6-year cycle.
Yeah. So it is the 24 courses, yes. So we only have 6 years written in the Dead Sea Scrolls. And unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of explanation in the scrolls themselves of why or how they kept it. So it really takes a lot of speculation to say, oh, well, this is going to determine that and that's going to determine this, when, it's not even mentioned in there. So we do see there's priestly courses, and these were set in motion by King David. And it's because, the priests, even on Sabbath days, high Sabbath days, things like that, they don't actually get a rest because they had to do the offerings and the sacrifices, things like that. So each and every day.
It looks to me like that we don't have to really worry too much right now about the priestly courses and how they cycle through the calendar, because that's going to come into effect in Ezekiel when he talks about the millennial kingdom, when they come back and they start their sacrifices. So right now, all we need to be concerned about is just getting the calendar correct.
Absolutely, 100%. That's what it was for. It was for the priests, and it was to give them a little rest break, because they worked every single day, even on Sabbath, high Sabbath. So yeah, it was something for the priests, and right now, here on earth, because Messiah is our King and our High Priest, it's not something we have to really worry about. Do they fit into it? Yeah, absolutely. But it's not a determining factor. It's not something that, like you said, that it's something we have to observe. It was just something for the priests themselves, so they would be able to get a rest
Jeremy.
from all the duty. Yeah.
And I was thinking about the priestly stuff too, and how they were still commanded to do the sacrifices and everything when you're not technically supposed to be slaughtering animals on the Sabbath. Is that the reason why we rest is because we work the ground by the sweat of our brow, right? And so we do that 6 days and we rest on the seventh, to where we don't work with the sweat of our brow. But the priest didn't work with the sweat of their brow. That's why people tithed to them, right? Was because they did the work within the temple and the sanctuary, and we did the outer court work, where you do labor harder.
Yeah. No, I agree. But slaughtering and field dressing the animals, like, yes, all that was brought to them, but that's still quite the task, especially for doing it for all of Israel. So, yeah, it was definitely brought to them. Like, they didn't have to, go sweat and go find the animals and things like that. But they still had to, prepare them for the sacrifice, meaning, like field dressing them is what we would know it as today, which is, getting them prepared, the slaughtering and the removing of the organs or the fat, the skin, whatever, what have you, whatever specific requirements for that specific sacrifice or offering.
Right. Yeah, I was just looking at it as, they were given those jobs for the atoning of sin, right? And the outside work that you do work 6 days was because of the original sin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And see, the original plan was for all of Israel to be like a priesthood. So then, they wouldn't have to take the offerings and put it all on the Levites. Like, they would be able to do it all themselves. Just like we see all before that, we see even Cain and Abel offering up sacrifices and things like that. We see Abraham, Noah, all these people offering sacrifices and offerings. And it was supposed to be like that for Israel, but they had their sin, so then they got punished. Now they had to go through the Levites. And then Messiah, when he came back, he basically fixed all that. So that way in the new heaven, when the renewed heaven and renewed earth come, we ourselves will be able to make that trip to, New Jerusalem, things like that, having no sin in us. And that's how we all become, priests in the kingdom, things like that.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Yeah, absolutely. All praise to the Most High. And it takes coming together as a group and being willing to reason together through scriptures. And that's how we found all these things out. And it's just, evidence why we all need each other and we all have a different piece of that puzzle. And we just try to get others to understand this as well. Especially, the ones who hate us the most. And it's like, look, we just want to reason together through scriptures. That's been our stand since the beginning. And, if basically, we can be our own stumbling blocks a lot of times, especially, if we feel very strongly about something, like Saturday being the Sabbath always. Like that's a very strong thing people have. Same thing, well, the sliver moon's going to determine our weeks in the Sabbath. It's also a very strong, ideology people like to hold on to. So when it's questioned, and then you can show evidence that, hey, look, that's not how it is. It can basically be triggering to somebody, and they're like, oh, I don't want to look at this. I don't want to see it. And they're just going to say no to everything you say and dismiss everything you show them. And it's really, that flesh, they're putting their flesh over what the word is saying,
Yeah, Jeremy. There's a lot of people think that the Sabbath is on Saturday because of all the different languages of the world. Is all the word for Sabbath and the word for Saturday is similar to the word Sabbath. What do you think about that argument?
So I used to say the same thing. But when you actually look into the history and you see Rome influenced literally every other country and nation until now everybody's following today, they didn't Saturday doesn't translate to Sabbath day. And the reason some other countries they'll have Saturday named, like in Spanish it's called Sabato, which means Sabbath. So they did that because of the Roman influence, basically. And it's when they made their venerable day of the sun, or Sunday, the first day of the week, and they put the day of Saturn as the last day. And then they went to first the Pharisees and all them, and that's where they actually get their modern day Saturday Sabbath, is they forced it upon them. They're like, look, we have our Sunday now. You guys can have this Saturn's day. And
Don't you have to look at the origin of those languages when they started?
yeah, exactly. And most of these modern languages today, like Spanish, for example, it's influenced a lot from Latin, the original Latin, and we see that that's actually like a later language. Honestly, some of the earliest languages are, like Paleo Hebrew and things like that, and they're based. Some of these early languages, they're based off the Paleo Hebrew, basically. It's like the same signs and symbols that you see in the Hebrew.
Yeah, see, my friend Dwayne Dennis is on here. Hi, Dwayne.
Hello, Ray. I've been listening to you. You doing all right? Hello?
Oh, I guess I was muted there a second there. I clicked the wrong button, I guess. Yeah, are you doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you.
You know, we met Jackson Snyder down in West Palm Beach, Florida. Probably I would say probably about 10 years ago. I would say he was up there at Vero Beach, and we'd been listening to him for a few years before that, and then when we went to Florida for the winter for about 7 or 8 years in a row there, and about 2015 or 16, somewhere in there, we invited him to come down to West Palm Beach, and he came down with his buddy. I can't remember what he called him now, but
Commander.
Commander, yeah. And he come down. We met at Panera restaurant there in City Place in West Palm Beach, and then we went to our condo. And at that time, you know, I tried to talk to Jackson Snyder about the calendar, and he didn't want any part of it back then. At that time, he wasn't interested in it. He was kind of like Eddie Chumney was.
Yeah.
You know, I ran into the same thing with him, Ray. After I spent one Sukkot down there in Vero Beach with him, and then another one up in Virginia. And I tried to talk to him, and he gave me the same answer. He says, if you want information on the calendar, go to, and it was some female that was in the group. He recommended her, but I never did get a hold of her.
That might have been Sherry Freeland.
No, let's see. I got her name here somewhere close by, I think.
Yeah, no, Jackson's been around for quite some time, especially in the Zadok community.
Yeah, he was a Methodist minister for a while. That was the first time I ever heard of him. He was preaching in a Methodist church. I don't remember where it was, but he had brought the Sabbath into that Methodist church, and I think that shortly after that is he got kicked out of the Methodist church for it. That's my thoughts. I don't know whether that was actually.
Yeah, those Methodists, they don't like anything different than their own tradition.
Yeah.
Quite a few religions like that. Yeah, I heard of Jackson Snyder quite a long time ago when I first heard of Zadok calendar. But, you know, he's always had that view where, you know, after Sukkot, you don't worry about the calendar, and then you just go the next Wednesday closest to the equinox. And I was just like, you know, that doesn't really feel too comfortable. But I really never agreed with his method that he presented. But he does have a lot of good historical information. Like he knows a lot about the Temple of Onias, the Zadok Temple in Egypt. And he does have other good historical facts and information. But I know recently he's been, you know, questioning Paul and he's in that area of, denying Paul, calling him false, tossing out his writings. And this last Sunday he was on, he mentioned how he's questioning the book of Enoch now. So we see that's where all these things start. People, they'll start questioning Enoch or Jubilees or the Dead Sea Scrolls and their validity. Then they end up tossing one or the other or all of them out. And it's like, well, when you use them all together and you can understand these two separate cycles, you'll see why these different books and writings are saying what they're saying, because they're speaking in the same language about these two different cycles. It's kind of important, really.
I saw a video a few weeks ago, and it was, I wish I could remember where I saw it. I need to go back, try to find it. But anyway, it was showing the different books that they found in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and Jubilees was more. There was more books of Jubilee found than there was Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and so forth. So, yeah. And,
Yes, sir.
And also the book of Enoch. Both of those books were high in the list there. And I wish I'd have taken a picture of that, but I didn't.
Yeah. I think it's only Genesis, Leviticus, and Deuteronomy, and I think Exodus that are found more than Enoch and Jubilees. All the rest of the Torah scrolls and prophets and even things like that, Enoch was found right up there as many times as a lot of the Torah scrolls. So is Jubilees. Jubilees is actually right behind Enoch in how many fragments or different scrolls they found of them. It's really remarkable.
I listened to an interesting video last night from a guy named Ken Johnson. Have you ever heard of him?
Yeah, he's a writer, isn't he?
Yeah, and he was talking about in the book of Acts, chapter 13. It talks about it names Menachem, and he said it's sometimes it's spelled a whole lot different places. Sometimes it's got the CH in it, and sometimes it doesn't. It's spelled a lot of different ways. But anyway, he was supposedly Essene, and he grew up in the house of Herod, and he told Herod long before he was a king. He told him that he was going to be the king, and Herod asked him how many years was he going to reign, and he told him that he was going to reign over 30 years, and that came true. But anyway, I think Eddie Chumney brought that out about Menachem, and in other words, and also it seems like that Herod maybe gave the Essenes a little favor in certain ways.
The name of that woman I was thinking about was Kimberly. I think it's Dubois or Dubois, however that's pronounced.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I remember her. She was from Texas.
Yeah, right. She had done a lot of work on some kind of a solar lunar calendar.
Interesting. Yeah, that's basically what the Gregorian is. It's like a solar lunar calendar.
I never did look into it, so I don't really know what. I copied a chart that made no sense to me whatsoever. It didn't have any reference material with it.
Yeah. No, I've noticed that a lot too. A lot of people have information with no reference material, or it's difficult to understand. So yeah. No,
Jeremy,
yeah,
is that going to be a Zoom call tonight with Jackson Snyder?
yeah, exactly. It's on his Zoom, and I do have it here in the chat. Here, let me go and pin it.
Oh, you got it on the chat?
Yeah, let me find it here. Oh, here it is. One sec. There, I pinned it in the chat.
Oh, okay. All right. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, it's our fourth presentation on his Zoom platform, and it's going to be basically me, Katrina, and I believe Miranda going to talk about her abominable day.
Yeah, Katrina
Is it?
asked me to either talk about it or maybe talk about it in the Q&A question area. I didn't know which one you guys wanted me to do, for real. I figured I would just let y'all either be like, hey, or just be like, hey, talk about it in the question. I didn't care either way.
Yeah. No, whenever time is brought up for it, yeah. Because I know Katrina's gonna do her visual and stuff right off the start. Then I'm gonna bring out the stuff about the divider day, and then you can probably jump in right after that, since it's not too long.
No, it's not long at all. And the tiny little write-up that I did write about it was basically trying to prove that there's no way to find the abominable day on a Gregorian calendar system because of how chaotic and floating the days are on it. And that's a day that is recorded in Jubilees. So it is an important day, not important to like keep for holy days or anything, but that it's a day that he allotted Hasatan to do his thing. And it was a day that sin entered the world. So it's not a day we want to keep as a holy day. It's definitely a day we want to know about so that we don't bring holy stuff into that day.
Is that Job's day? Job was talking.
No. The abominable day is the second day of the the second month, the 17th day of the second month.
Okay.
That's when Hasatan came into the garden and deceived Eve. It's also the same day that the flood was brought upon the earth.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's several other abominable days as well. You can kind of find them in Jubilees when Satan, went to Eve, when the fallen angels came down, things like that. It'll mention specific dates in Jubilees.
Do we have specific dates for when the angels came down? It just says in the days of Jared.
Yeah, that's right.
It doesn't give like specific days for that, even though I do think that, yeah, if there was a specific day, which I'm sure there was, but it's just not recorded, at least not to our knowledge yet. I do believe that could definitely be an abominable day. It's just not recorded specifically.
Yeah.
The days that Hasatan was held back, though, I don't think those were abominable days, but it does record him being held back when the children of Israel were escaping Egypt, which is interesting. He was like bound.
Huh, interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I do agree with you, Jeremy. There are more abominable days, and I've been trying to find them in the 66 books. It's really hard. I've been trying to find them in the 66 books that everybody, wants to definitely hear from, but it's not as easy.
Yeah, no, they took a lot out of the 66 books.
They really did. They really did.
Like even just the Masoretic, it reads so much different in a lot of places. And where was it? I think Isaiah or something like that. It speaks about how, people are gonna fall astray following the incorrect Sabbath days. But in the Masoretic, they completely reworded that to something else. I don't remember which exact verse it was. But it speaks about, people following an incorrect Sabbath day and how it's an abomination. But in the Masoretic, they took out Sabbath day and things like that. And it just says like abomination. So little things like that where they, removed hints and clues or things directly about the calendar, Messiah as well. And I know the timeline, and that's actually where, they got Seth as or sorry, not Seth, what is it? Shem. They claim Shem is Melchizedek, and it's because their altered timeline that they did in the Masoretic.
Yeah, because that doesn't align with Jubilees.
Yeah. And they
Because
did.
Melchizedek, he was he mentioned in Job? He was, right? Melchizedek?
I don't know if he's mentioned in
Or
Job.
was that in Abraham's day? Was that in Abraham's day, Melchizedek?
Yeah. I know
Right.
he's mentioned in Genesis and Psalms, and I know Paul speaks about him as well.
Yeah, but
Like,
I think it was, yeah, not Job. I meant Abraham. I believe he was around Abraham's time, and Abraham is at least 300 to 400 years, like, spaced between Noah's death and then Abraham's birth.
yeah.
And
So
they didn't live 400 years by that point anymore. Noah was the last one that had a really long lifespan like that.
Yeah.
Noah and his sons, right? I don't know if it recorded when his sons died. It only recorded when he died, right?
Well, there were ages. The age seemed to diminish as the generations came down.
Yes.
I think Shem lived to be over 600 years.
Right.
And then it went like 4, 3,
Yeah.
2, down to Terah, who I think lived, almost 200 years?
Yes. Yeah, but Noah was the last one the pre-flood era to make it to like close to 900.
Like the one day of life,
Yes,
1,000
yeah,
years.
or barely one day in heaven. Yeah, because
Yeah,
nobody ever reached a full day in heaven.
because Adam was going to have to die
Yeah,
in that, one day.
yeah, yeah. It said that he like died in the midst, I think it was, of what 1,000 years would be here on Earth. So like in the midst of that. So, and Methuselah, he was the oldest one. He was 969. That's the oldest recorded man.
And Noah was second, wasn't he? No, wait a minute. No, there was no Methuselah. No, who am I thinking? Yeah, Methuselah was
Methuselah,
969,
yeah, 969. The one after that, I
and
think,
Jared.
was Jer.
Well, Lamech only was, well, that's questionable because it has in the Septuagint a different amount of years for Lamech. It was 777 in the Masoretic text. I think it was like 753 in the Septuagint.
Interesting. Yeah, now I'm going to check Genesis real quick. I don't know who the second oldest man to ever live is, because I don't know if it was.
Might have been Jared. Did you check Jared?
I'm going to look right now.
Interesting stuff.
Okay, so I've got Genesis put up, and it says Jared was 830 years old.
Okay, and he wasn't the second then. There was somebody
Oh,
else
sorry,
made it to
that was Mahalalel.
960 something.
Let me see. Jared lived to 800. No.
Jared was 862 years.
It says all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died.
There it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jared is second. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And Methuselah was 800. Nope, sorry. That's when he begat.
969.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lamech died at 777 years old. Yeah, so you're right. Jared was the second oldest to live.
Interesting. Hey, I will be right back. I need to make a quick phone call. Yeah, sorry. I'll be right back.
All is good. Yeah, who was it that said in here, though, that all the copies of Jubilees and Enoch that they found in the Dead Sea Scrolls? Was that you, Ray? Or was that Dwayne?
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, I have heard that before too, and thought it was just so astounding, and that's what got me to purchase the book of Jubilees and Enoch. When I found out about the Dead Sea Scrolls, because I was like, well, shoot, there's so many of them. They must have it must have been important scripture if they had so many copies of it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think of it kind of like as, like your favorite book, you're going to have all the copies of it, the first editions, the, whatever it is that they add to it, you're going to get all the copies of it that you can because it's your favorite. And
Yeah.
if this was considered Torah to them before Genesis was even written, which it would have been because, we know that Moses, there was no written word before Moses. I don't believe that.
I think Enoch wrote, and some of it was passed through Noah through the flood.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
Jubilees,
Yeah.
Jubilees confirms that because it says that the writings of Enoch was given to Noah.
Yeah.
We think of heirlooms our grandparents give to us, and we keep those sacred. They definitely would have kept what Enoch gave to them to the highest esteem.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was talking to me about that and about the apparent, the claims for it and when it was written, they think, and all that. And I said, something, all that aside, does not matter to me. My Savior referred to it as scriptures. So I don't need to get into anything about when some men's traditions claim things are going on.
Right, especially since Messiah himself quoted the books.
Right. But it sure helps just to be able to say that, I've proven it out, and I can say that to somebody who's getting all confused with all the, the man stuff around it.
Absolutely.
And Jude quoted Enoch as well.
That's right.
All right, I'm back. Sorry. I may have to go. My mom's vehicle broke down,
Oh
so I
no.
may have to go help her out.
All right. Well, we'll keep you in our prayers.
Yeah, thank you. But she's gonna let me know if she needs me to come help her or not. So I'll find out here in a few minutes. Yeah, Shabbat Shalom, Ellie. Yeah, so we got Jackson's presentation tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're probably not gonna have too long of a fellowship here. We're at 3 hours 14 minutes, and I might have to go help my mom here, so we might cut it short today,
No
just for
worries.
Okay.
various number of reasons.
So is it you're making a presentation tonight or what?
Yeah. So it's gonna be Katrina, me, and Miranda, and basically it's just our final presentation on Jackson because we've been trying to come back for part 4 for quite some time. So we're finally going to be able to get to do that. And then, yeah, so that's going to be on Jackson Snyder's Zoom this evening. And we're going to be going over the calendar, the divider day, the Rachel Ellior quote about the divider day as well. We went over it a little bit earlier, but just a quick recap. So I was going to show 4Q394 in the Dead Sea Scrolls where it speaks about that day after the last Sabbath is added. And then there's claims that, well, there's no zero in Hebrew. Well, we actually found zero in Hebrew. There's actually 3 words that mean empty, void, or zero in Hebrew. So I was going to bring those out. The Rachel Ellior quote, which it's in that book. I have the link to it for the PDF. It's in our library group. I shared it earlier here. Where is it?
The 3 temples?
Yeah, the 3 temples.
Yeah.
So it's page 103, and Rachel Ellior mentions how they have this divider day to stay in line with the 365-day solar cycle. And so basically Katrina was going to go over all the scriptural verses for it and her visual. And then I was just going to come in with all the evidence and support for the divider day. And I thought I saw Meredith in here because I was going to mention, I don't mind the questions, but if we can do it here and not on Jackson Snyder. But she left, so never mind.
Is Jackson Snyder going to be asking you questions?
He may. There's going to be other people in there that are going to ask questions, like just several other Zadok people who also follow Zadok calendar. But most of them keep, the Saturday Sabbath.
Yeah, right.
Ray, do you think Sarah will be listening in on that?
I don't know. I doubt it, probably. She ought to.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there's quite a few people that are in the chat there, and most of them do not like the idea that Saturday is not always Sabbath. So their questions are usually not aimed in learning. They're aimed more as, or formed as more of a hi, gotcha type question or a trap type question.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
You're always going to get that.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, but no, it helps us to grow and be able to answer things like that as well.
I noticed that what's his name?
Jackson Snyder?
No.
No.
The one that was with Avi Ben Mordecai.
Eddie Chumney?
Yeah. I noticed that he's been online with this group quite a bit. Have you all had any interaction with him?
Yeah, I know Katrina is constantly trying to communicate with Eddie Chumney. She has his personal number and always sends him information. He's in our group as well.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'd seen his name on some of the.
Let me. My mom's calling real quick. I'll be right back.
So yeah, I was in touch with Avi Ben Mordecai. I was on private calls with him, discussing his series, The Death, Burial, and Resurrection. And now we see that came out to be false. But yeah, I've spoken to him a lot, and he just is unwilling to come out of the whole Saturday stuff.
Yeah.
Well, he was pretty he was pretty much into Judaism for a long time, so it's gonna be hard.
Yeah. And so is Eddie. So, like Eddie's still stuck on, believing that the Jews today are still Judah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but did you watch that whole Passion Week series that Avi did?
Well, I watched all the series he done with Eddie Chumney.
Yeah, I just watched one of them too. It just popped up in my feed, and it was it's a short one about one particular verse and how they're talking about the named days of the months and how they're all Babylon names and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, what about the weeks too?
Yeah.
They're all Babylon too. It's like picking and choosing,
And that's the best we can do until the Father lights something else up for us.
Yeah. And then when we, learn better, we do better and keep following the cloud wherever it leads.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. But, there's some that just get stuck on this Saturday stuff and the moving the equinox day. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Well, you get comfortable with a certain belief, and then you stay there with it for a while, and you don't think you're not really searching that much, and then pretty soon you're kind of in a cycle, and pretty soon you're back to really searching again, and you find out, hey, well, I think this was wrong, so you learn something else. It's just that's what we're in. We're in a continual cycle of learning more and more.
Yeah, that's right. And one of the big problems with getting off the Saturday Sabbath too is so many people just can't find any fellowship after they change.
Yeah, that's one of your problems, isn't it, Dwayne? You can't.
Yeah, I've been alone for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Nope, not anymore.
Jeremy, is your mom okay?
Yeah, I gotta go help her out.
All right.
So, yeah.
Well, it was a good Sabbath with y'all.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah, no, all praise to the Most High. No.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy.
It takes us all coming together to figure all this out. So,
Yep.
Hope you can help your mom.
Yeah, I think she needs a jump start or something, is what she was saying. So, should be just going there and jump starting her car for her. And that's it. But yeah, so today, or don't forget this evening, we got Jackson Snyder's presentation for all those who are interested in joining.
Yeah, I want to be there. I'm going to try to be there.
Yeah, no, we definitely need all the backup we can get. So, Yeah, I know.
Just let them ask the questions,
Yeah, right.
right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Unless there's something that the Spirit impresses you that needs clarified or something, I would say.
Yeah.
But I think that'll be a really good thing.
Yeah, and I think at least if we're not reaching anybody there in that group, it'll reach somebody who will watch it later, and maybe they'll consider it and reach out. You know, we've got a lot of members here that have done that exact thing, you know. So yeah, we got that going on this evening, and yeah, I think we'll end it here for now. And it's not our usual 10-hour fellowship, but no worries. It'll give us time to
Okay.
prepare for this evening as well.
All right.
So,
Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
yeah.
Shabbat
Yeah.
Shalom.
Yeah.
Shabbat
Yeah.
Shabbat
shalom,
Thank you
shalom.
everybody.
all. Shabbat shalom.
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you all for joining, and we'll probably have an after party for it. So keep an eye out
That
for
sounds
that.
good.
But
All
yeah,
right.
shalom,
Take care.
everybody, and
Shalom.
we will
Shalom.
definitely speak later.
Shalom.